in the region. But again, I mentioned today's event is particularly about Bayelsa State. As we all know, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, will be visiting to commission 3 laudable legacy projects undertaken by the Assured Prosperity Government, the administration of our own finest, Senator Doye Diri. Each time I come to my state, I'm from Bayelsa State, each time I come to my state, I feel excited. The kind of things that I crave for to see is what I'm seeing today in terms of infrastructure development. You talk of roads, and more especially right now, we are talking of lighting up Bayelsa State, cutting off from the national grid to do our own thing in terms of the provision of electricity to our people. For me, that's a game changer. So we have eminent personalities here, as earlier introduced. Professor John Kalama, Professor Okolo is here, and our brother, the renowned environmentalist. I've been craving to meet him. See, here we are meeting today one-on-one. I follow him on Facebook, see all of his activities, and I like it. I like people who want to engage with people. So I insisted that he must be with me today on this panel as well. So he's here today. Thank you for coming. Professor Kolo, thank you for coming. Professor Kalama, incidentally, we are from the same community. So thank you once more for coming. I appreciate all of you. Now going forward, the modus operandi of this engagement is a roundtable. It's a roundtable. The issues for discussion, the topics, we all know it. Incidentally, we are all from this state. I tried getting some other persons, individuals from outside the state, but the timing was too short. By the time we got confirmation for the visit of the president, it was a very short time, so we couldn't get even flights for them to come. You know, so, but yet we can still do justice to what we are seeing on ground in terms of development of our state. I will hand over the mic to the comparee, let him go further, and we'll pick up from there. Thank you.
Okay, please, another round of applause for him. Since he has set the tone for discussions, we'll go right away and we'll begin from left to right. We'll please ask Professor John Kalama to take the stage now for his opening remarks. Others will also give their opening remarks, after which the convener will moderate and direct the affairs of the panel discussions. Over to you, Professor John Kalama.
Yes, thank you very much, members of the panel, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I must say from the depth of my heart, I'm happy to be part of this process, and I want to commend the convener and his team for putting this program together. If you are a leader, no matter how good you are, if you cannot connect with your people, if your people don't know what you are doing, then people will appraise you wrongly. So let me commend the organizers of this program. And as we look at the issues for discussion. I'm sure we will be able to give a clear direction as to where we want to go as a state and as a people. Thank you and God bless you.
Okay, Professor Phillips Okolo will take the floor next. Your opening remarks.
Okay. First, I want to appreciate the organizers, particularly Ambassador Joseph, and of course the man who connected me, who called me 2 days ago to talk about inviting me to this day's event. And I think I met the convener yesterday for the first time. That goes to give a credence to the fact that he actually would want to have an unbiased analysis of the issues were brought here. I want to say that yes, I am a staff of the Department of Political Science, Niger Delta University, and I'm a professor of development, peace and security studies, the only one in Africa for now, in those 3 areas. Taking a background from the police, as they have said, and also taking a background from Ijaw activism, because I am one of those people who founded Ijaw Youth Council, and I was a pioneer member of the mobile parliament led by Oronto Douglas. I was also the pioneer, publicity secretary Bayelsa Youth Federation. In fact, that association was formed before Bayelsa was established, because we were working together with our senior partners, including Doye Dire, who was then, His Excellency Doye Dire, who was then the mobilization officer of the INC. And therefore, we have come a long way before people like me also brought in His Excellency Dixon to the struggle itself. Now, having said that background, I want to say that it is very important that we sometimes interface like this and also do discussions. So far, so good. All the people who have had opportunity of governing Bayelsa have tried in their own states. I am not quick at praising people, but sometimes when they do things correctly, you praise them. I know that from the background I've stated, we have always discussed these issues. How can we, if we have opportunity, how can we, offer development? And so when my brother Dixon had opportunity, he took Bayelsa to a point by providing roads, by even doing human capital development and the rest. And then when our friend and brother, yes, of course, my Christian brother, and my brother in the struggle, Diri, have the opportunity, I think that I can say that there is development. I say this because I'm a professor of development. I have seen it. Let us take a reference from Okilo, for example. His Excellency late Obiene Okilo was the first governor in the whole of Nigeria that, for example, set the pace for independent power. Okay. What I mean by power, because as political scientists, when you say power, it is not power in terms of having that opportunity to govern. But again, when you have the power to govern, you should be able to provide development. So from that point, I would say that he set the pace in Nigeria. Now, when he did what he did at that time, And we all can remember when he was leaving, they came after him. But you know what? He paid all the monies. He paid all the monies. And therefore, when they thought that they could cancel the contract itself, they could not revoke it. And that was why when we came to Bayelsa, when Bayelsa was established or created, you know, there was no electricity. The national grid was not connected to Bayelsa. But Bayelsa had light almost 24 hours. And that was the independent power that Obiano Kilo, you know, provided. I can tell you, even some communities like Okumbri in Sapama had the light. So when things began to degenerate, and when we even now had, you know, NEPA connected to Bayelsa, then we now ask, why is it that the light is no longer, that same light is no longer in Oporoma, no longer in all those areas where the power was already connected to before Bayelsa was established? I can tell you authoritatively, today I was even at that independent power project, because I usually like to talk from an informed position. I believe that we'll come back to all the analysis. Let me stop at this point first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to Comrade Alagwa Morris, Technical Advisor to the Governor on Environment.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure to be here on this very important subject matter. As a student of development, I know that development is a continuum. Those of us who know Port Harcourt very well will agree with me that even in the 80s and in the 90s, from Rumokuta, NTA Road to Shoba, or from the Eleme Junction, Aba Road to Shoba, you see patches of bushes. But today, you no longer see those bushes anymore. They are all occupied by beautiful structures. When Bayelsa State was first created, it was a whole mud house environment. Mud house here and there. Accommodation was a problem. Even there was nothing like government house. And from Igbogene down to St. Peter's, you also see the demarcation of communities separated by giant elephant grasses along the Yanagwa Mbiama Road, then now Chief Melford Okilo Road, a thread-like meandering road. But today, you no longer see those grasses. They've all been occupied with beautiful structures, and the road is no longer thread-like. It has been dualized. Development is a continuum. As we speak now, yes, it's like we were creeping. From that creeping stage, we started walking, and very soon, from the way we are seeing, we'll begin to run. I visited Makalakala some time ago, about, I think, 2019 or 2020. Why did I go? Because of Okilo. I love development, and Okilo typifies that exemplary leader when it comes to empathy in politics and development. I say, how have they treated Okilo? Let me go to his community and see what is there on ground. And I went with some media persons. Alambo, you were there. At my own expense, of course. What we saw there was really not acceptable. And we started the advocacy for Okilo to be recognized. As a matter of fact, we started, and through my intervention, two of my friends, Alabonengi James and Saprobi, were also mobilized. And then the Obeneban of Ogbia Kingdom, before we knew what was happening, he said, Alagwa, Nengi James and Saprobi, you people have to be part of this annual celebration committee. And we brought the Okilo celebration to Yenegwa. Luckily for us, we had distinguished Senator Doyediri as the governor, who also graced that occasion and told us his inroad into politics was through Okilo's party, where he became a councillor for the very first time. And we were so happy that he took up the celebration. The government took up the celebration, annual celebration of Chief Melford Okilo. So what am I saying? Development is something that is good to everybody. But how many leaders have that mind to do something that will impact the generality of the populace? Okilo remains a shining example. And I think, and I am convinced, that Senator Doye Diri is walking that same path which Okilo walked years ago. Let me stop it for now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. They've made the opening remarks. Let's not forget that this is a roundtable on Bayelsa's infrastructure development trajectory. So at this point in time, we will go to the nitty-gritty of why we are here. The panelists will now highlight Bayelsa's infrastructure development trajectory under the assured prosperity government of Doye Diri. I want to plead with our panelists that we should make it as brief as possible because we are managing the 1 hour time so that we don't give so much challenge to the channel's television crew. So we'll just make it as brief as possible so that we can take the interactive session after now. So at this point, just before I hand over the microphone to the convener, let me recognize Professor Francis Sikoki, who just walked in. Please, a round of applause for Professor Francis Sikoki. We also have Mr. Dennis Otu, publisher and editor, the Empire newspaper, as well as SSA Media to the Delta State Governor. A round of applause for him. So over to the convener to tell us more about the Bayelsa infrastructure development trajectory under the assured prosperity government of Senator Doye Diri.
Yes, thank you. Let me first recognize and welcome my mentor. I call him my mentor, Professor Francis Sikoki. Welcome, sir. Welcome. We have been talking on this subject matter for about 2 weeks now, myself and him. But I'm happy you are here. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. So going forward, ladies and gentlemen, resetting Bayelsa. Resetting Bayelsa. Without peace building in a community, there's nothing you can do. We cannot make progress once there are issues of insecurity. Today we can all attest to the peace that we have in Bayelsa. The ambient environment that could drive progress is existence in Bayelsa today. It didn't happen just with a wave of the hand. I think persons went to work with the leadership of the governor to ensure that first things first, and that is peace building. Now I mentioned reset Bayelsa. I also like to use the word infra instead of the long infrastructure, because that's what I was taught in my business school. When we talk of infra, it's infrastructure. Today, because of the peace, the government is able to go deep down to the hinterland to open up so that trade and commerce can flow. I mentioned earlier in my opening remarks that government cannot put cash money in the pocket of people. But they can teach people human capital development, that we used to call it, create the environment for you to thrive in your small and medium-sized businesses. We all said in the past that the small and medium-sized enterprises are the backbone of every economy around the world. So what the present government is doing now is to open up the states to allow trade and commerce to thrive, businesses to flow unhindered, while drawing from the independent power plant that is about to be fired. So we are seeing tomorrow that it will be better. And these are the things I want us to look at, this panel to look at. How are people going to fare in the coming days, the coming months, the coming years? And also how the government is prepared to pay attention in terms of maintenance of all of these equipments and roads and all other infrastructure that is being we are seeing today. That is one of the reasons this roundtable has been convened. You know, we go to places outside, we see how things have been done, government business has been conducted. We come back here and it's like we are failing. But the Bayelsa trajectory of development, like Professor Kolo mentioned, the immediate past governor initiated projects, and when this governor came, he didn't stop. Continuity, which is what his watchword, and he went to work to pursue that continuity by taking up those projects. And many of which have been completed today. But safe for this independent power plant, drawing from the federal government's policy of liberalization of the power sector. The governor grabbed it with both hands and said, no, we must run with it. And today, like I mentioned too, I've been a skeptic when it comes to power provision, and also one of my panelists mentioned the efforts of Melford Okilo. Then, I think I was still in school. You don't know, I was in the bank because I have a banking background anyway. We had all of that turbine then. Today, that was the first, and today we are seeing another first. In terms of this power plant at Lebele. So, then we talk of roads, which my fellow panel members will dwell on. Like I mentioned, I used to follow the environmentalists on his post on Facebook, how he went to his community. In the dead of the night, he could drive there, something he couldn't do in the past. These are the kind of things that I want us to look at, even from participants. Where were we and where we are now and where we ought to be. We will not stop preaching the mantra of continuity, because that is what we feel in this country most of the times. Everybody wants to initiate their new projects, want to do abandoned projects left, right, and center. It has not helped us in any form of developmental stride whatsoever. So I will yield the mic to, most probably to Maurice Alagwa, from my far right, for him to do justice to the roads that we have seen coming up. And just be open, be frank, situation, let the people know. The media is here, let them know and tell the story of the progress in Bayelsa State. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Once again, good afternoon. Talking about road infrastructure, it has never been so good. But like Professor Philip Okolo mentioned, the groundwork was laid. The only project I think that was abandoned in Rivers State that I can remember is the monorail. Maybe people do not buy into that project. Otherwise, I think Rivers State is blessed with project continuity. And the incumbent here has also shown that when you take continuity into consideration, it gives the people better utility of resources. Now, when Senator Doyediri came up, he first took the path of peace. The glory drive that has now hit Onopa, even though it has not been open to Onopa, it was abandoned at Igbogene for one reason or the other, maybe contractual obligation. When Senator Doyediri came in, he called the contractor, they discussed, and that project commenced. The phase 2 was completed, and now the third phase has hit Onopa. I believe maybe from tomorrow or thereabouts, that way will be open for all of us to make use of. Also, the Unity Bridge at Nembe was also part of that issue. It settled with the contractor peacefully, and that bridge was completed. Now, one of the first roads he started and completed was that of Igbedi. Igbedi community happened to be the only community in Kolokmo-Pokuma local government that was not linked by road. As he came on board, immediately he gave them a road. I'm sorry. The people are very happy now. The people of Otuan can now drive from Yenagua straight to Otuan community. The people of Angiama can drive straight to Angiama, just as the people of Oporoma are driving to Oporoma now. The Oporoma road is Yenagua Oporoma Ukubie road that has been on the drawing board for quite a long while. But today, we can get to Oporoma within a twinkling of an eye. Now, after Oporoma, the next community is Ondewari. And the governor has given a nod, and we are so happy about that Ondewari will also be linked up. It will be the first community in Olodiama Kingdom to be linked up by road, straight to the state capital. As we are speaking, apart from linking Onopa straight to the LNG area, and then another bypass, if you are going towards the airport, that road is completed now, awaiting Mr. President's commissioning. One of the first roads that he also completed, which was ongoing before he came on board, was the ring road from Igbogene to Bayelsa Palm. That road has since been completed, and I have also driven on that road on several occasions. There is also another road opposite the Nigerian Content Development Board that is linking Agbura directly. What about the Sabama Ikeremo road? he has hit Ekiremo. You can drive straight to Ekiremo now. And is pushing towards Agi. As we speak, from Akaba, here in Yenagua local government area, another road is going to Okodi in Ogbia local government area. It has gone far. I've been there with the media on 2 or 3 occasions. That is still being fired. If you look at the Depie, Imiringi, Otuasega Road, that road used to be affected by monster floods, just like the Amasoma Road. But today, very adequate culverts, big enough, has been provided to make sure whenever this flood comes, it will have alternative routes to pass, instead of to build up and create so much pressure and damage the road. And so, the roads in the 3 senatorial districts, that of Nembe Brass, we thank God, the previous administration took it to Nembe, and from Nembe now, it is heading to Brass. Thank God the federal government has also added to funding that project, which we are also praying that they also do something about the Yanagwa Oporoma Ukubie Road. And so, talking about road infrastructure, in opening up within Yanagwa alone, it has been unprecedented. We are not talking about the ongoing bridge across Ingbi Junction here, that is to link the newly completed roads, and the Opolo Elebele Road, he completed too. And so, it has never been so good when you talk about road infrastructure, whether within the state capital and environs, and in linking up communities in the 3 senatorial districts. It might not be enough for now, but since development is a continuum, we are hoping that with this pace being set up, very soon, it will get to every other community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maurice Alagwa. Thank you very much. On this note now, my immediate left, Professor Kalama will take the microphone and briefly allude to his observation so far. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me agree with Comrade Alagwa that actually His Excellency is doing well. If I have to score him as a lecturer, as a professor, I will score him 75 over 100. And in academic grading, once you score above 70, is an A grade. Now, what are the variables beyond infrastructure? The relationship between the government and labor unions is also very cordial. Since he came, there has been industrial peace in the state. And he has also concluded the NLC and TUC secretariat. What about the Enesikoli Press Center, where media men can go and relax and discuss and draw up their news programs? Several other projects. What about the Otoke Onwebum road expansion that leads to the home of former President Goodluck Jonathan? The state government, led by Doediri, completed that road, and several other roads that when you go around, you will see. Well, talking as a classroom teacher, I want to say that, sincerely speaking, in the area of peace, development, His Excellency Senator Doediri is not doing badly. He is doing well. And I think Bayelsans should work with him, cooperate with him, and give him the necessary support to do more. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Kalama. You've done what Napoleon could not do. Thank you very much. My immediate right, Professor Philip Okolo, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Convener. and of course, our very formidable team here. I think that the theme for today is assessing progress, challenges, and opportunities. And as a development expert, or put differently, as a security expert, I want to believe that the areas for discussion are road and transport infrastructure development, urban planning and flood control systems, energy, rural electrification, public-private partnership, and financing, sustainability, and maintenance culture. Now, I'll take them one after the other, but I'll be brief and very smart at that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, in terms of road infrastructure, my comrade Alagwa has already reeled out all the issues, all the effort that has been made by the governor. Now, I want to say that, I want to place on record that for me, I like to visit some of these projects myself. And I took myself some months back, I think around January, to the Nembe Brass Road. Although the road was blocked and they said nobody can access it, but I insisted and I introduced myself to those people who blocked the road, the army and all the rest. And they let me in. And I drove to the point where they were to cross one of the major critical bridges. And I can beat my chest and say that I give it to him. Because as a matter of fact, that was far before the federal government took over, that they were going to construct the other part of it. And I can also say authoritatively, from insights, the federal government has also commenced work from Brass End. And they are at a point where they had to now construct the longest bridge, which is at around Fanto or something area. I can authoritatively say so. And let me put on record, that road actually is a federal government road, because it is federal government's responsibility to actually annex all local government headquarters. But it has been in the drawing board, just like as people have always said, development infrastructure is in the pipelines. And so our boys at some point decided that they wanted to know what was really therein in the pipelines. Now, having said that part, I want to also say that the Ekeremoage Road too is moving, because of course that's my senatorial district, and I know for the first time myself, Diri himself, Fred Agbedi and others, with His Excellency Dixon, for the first time we rode on that road to Ekeremo before His Excellency Dixon left. But that is not to say that the road was easily accessible. I think there was a reformed, I don't know the way they did it, but if you now see the standard of the road, it is actually what you can see anywhere. Now let me leave all the roads. But again, before I leave the roads, what about the Oporoma Bridge itself? If you can recall, okay, I'm a small friend to the former vice president. He came to lay the foundation stone for that road. And today, the bridge has crossed. This is actually what we want in the Niger Delta. You know that, we have isolated settlement structures. And if we can connect our roads, it's very important. Now, urban planning and rural development. Now, you look at the houses that you can find in Onopa across the bridge. Can you see the commissioner's quarters? Can you see the House of Assembly quarters and all that is going on there before they now, they're about to be commissioned road? This is very, very rewarding. Now, having said that, again, I know you are hurrying me, but I think that the subject of discussion is assessing progress, challenges, and opportunities. Now, I'm just talking about the assessing the infrastructure that is already on the ground. Now, this morning, as I said, I went to the Bayelsa, the gas turbine project, and I can beat my chest and say, we give him a thumbs. Now, having said that, what are the challenges? I think that the government may have faced a lot of challenges, but you cannot be talking about assessing something and without talking about challenges that the government probably may have faced. And I believe that from outside, since I'm not in government, I know that definitely there must have been challenges of funding, but again, they may have sequenced the funding patterns, and it has been committed so far in my thinking about how, because of course, if the fundings are not there, the projects will not continue. And so I believe that critically the government finance team must have done very well in terms of how all these various infrastructure are going simultaneously to that extent, and they are not stopping, which means that there is funding pattern that probably may have been brought on bear by the finance team. But again, because we talk about challenges, what about the flood, urban and flood control systems? That's critical for us. You will all know the 2012-2022 floods, ravaged a lot of communities. And I can beat my chest and also tell you, even though the flood didn't get into my community, all the two, but again, it threatened. But this government actually intervened, even now, to do some flood control measures, even in my community, Eberebre. And if you go to OD, you go to Sampo, you go to other areas, these things are done. Now, because we also said other areas like energy I've talked about, then other areas that they could go in. Because we can't talk about all of this assessing a government without talking about the areas they can also do. For example, the government can do a road, that one particular road that is very critical. Gabriel Okara, all of us read the Gabriel Okara's books before we became, what we are. Gabriel Okara was buried during the tenure of Dixon. And they only made a minor road, something to that place. But now when you are going across the bridge of Tombia, there could be, that road is not too far. I believe that the government can do something about that road, taking it as far as to, Ikolo, from Ikolo to, after Bomadi to Ikolo, from Ikolo to Ikibri, from Ikibri to Owekora, and then you connect the NDU road. And why that is important is that when the 2024-22 flood came, you remember that NDU was cut off by the airport and other areas. Now, if there is a similar thing happen, we could have an alternate source to get out. That's the point I'm making. Now, what about the public-private partnership, as they said? That we leave it for the government, because again, that can be encouraged. If we do that encouragement, it can be okay. Now, the final part is sustainability and the maintenance culture. Now, if you put all infrastructure and you do not have a plan for sustainability, then we will be creating a major problem and trajectory for future generations to now tackle. And therefore, whereas we are doing all of this, I know that we need to do proper environmental impact assessments for some of these projects, and then more so in the urban development. I think that the government need to do something that is very critical: water project. Now, from Igbogene down to Yenegua town down there, we do not have pipe-borne water. And for over 30 years, Bayelsa was established up to this point. All of us are now local government of our own by providing water for ourselves. It's not good enough. I'm also, let me put it on record, water is even a security concern. I don't want to say this part on air, but I think that at the background I would have said it, why it is a security concern, that we need to provide water. The water board and the water ministry must provide water. And I think that that is a very critical thing, because it is also for health and well-being of the humans. Yeah, let me stop here at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause, please. That's a very fiery one. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. You hit the nail on the head. Thank you very much. We are in want of time. I think we have just less than 3-4 minutes to go. I've been prompted. Now, before I say the last word, Professor Sikoki, please, sir, I want you to put in a word for us. Please, sir. Get the microphone for him, please.
I want to thank the convener and all the participants for this very, very important roundtable. It is well overdue. The theme of the roundtable being assessing the infrastructural development is very apt, because without the necessary infrastructure, development will continue to elude us. I'm so happy that tomorrow we are going to, the President will be commissioning the Yanagwa Oporoma Okubie Koloma Road. That is a road that I think Maurice alluded to. Had been on the drawing board for about 63 years, until Okilo took the bull by the horn and started the sand filling from Yanagwa to Anyama. But then the military took over and he couldn't continue. And nothing happened again until Goodluck Jonathan started the bridge. And from there, Saraki and then Doye Diri has now taken it to well beyond Oporom. Very, 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 very commendable. And it is our hope that in the remaining part of his tenure, that we will see greater and greater achievements. Finally, somebody spoke, I think it was my friend Philip Okolo, spoke about water. Water is so important because most of the waterborne diseases are coming from there. And on the national average, these riverine areas are far, far above the rest of Nigeria because of our terrain. Therefore, it is my hope, I think the governor has already expressed a desire to tackle water as his next priority. It would be very nice if that happens, so that we can begin to enjoy potable water, not individual water and river carrying water up and down. Those things need to stop in this 21st century. Once again, I want to thank you, Mr. Convener, and all the panelists and the participants for this opportunity to address you. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, quickly, one more road project that I will not capture. Let me do that quickly because that's very, very dear to my heart, because I played a major role for that road to come to fruition. That is the St. Paul Agbere Osekinike Road that is presently being undertaken in partnership with the NDDC and the Bayelsa State government. I know the role I played personally under the platform of the CDC, which I am the POT chairman, to ensure initially to put in the budget of the defunct Ministry of Nigeria Delta Affairs. It didn't fly. And I had to approach the current managing director, Samuel Buku, and he quickly supported, and we got into the budget of the NDDC since 2023. And behold, today the road is under construction. At the point they will stop, if they take it further, maybe the next administration, that road is going to Onitsha. I have been so passionate about that road. That road, the travel time from Yenagwa to Onitsha will be less than an hour driving. It takes you to Obosi in Anambra State. And I've been pushing for that road for the past 20 years. Now the state government too is embarking on the Agidipsi port, which also have the fingerprints of myself. So to evacuate goods and services from the Agidipsi port to places like Onitsha, which have mentioned and recognized as the epicenter of trade and commerce in the southeast, to Bayelsa State, which will become eventually the epicenter of trade and commerce in the south-south. And I christened that road in many of my writings as the Southeast South-South Industrial Corridor. And today let it be captured by the federal government to put money on that road. It would be a new creation of an industrial corridor, the Southeast South-South Industrial Corridor, linking up to the Agedipsi port when eventually that project will come to fruition. So that is where we are. And I pray fervently that the resources will come for the government to be able to complete that road. And that road also, in future, will host the POFA Business Park being developed by POFA Nigeria Limited. An integrated industrial facility that is being developed by POFA Nigeria Limited. So you see, the benefits have started coming in. We'll create wealth, we'll create jobs, open up the region, and we'll say that is the vision in the Delta. So, without any much ado, I think I will just close up because we are out of time already. Let me do the close up by thanking every one of us here, my panelists, Professor Philip Okolo, Maurice Alagwa, Mr. Kalama, our dear sister from the immigration. Thank you so much for coming. Other government officials that are here, Professor Sikoki, and the entire Nigerian media. Today you have a food for thought in your hands. So please do justice to what we are doing here today. That is my appeal to you. More especially, we'll be seeing more of this kind of interaction, which I believe is very important. Talk to people, tell them what you are doing, what you want to do. A friend of mine used to say, no information is an information. So let us imbibe with that. And I say thank you once more, and God bless you all. Thank you.